everybody. I'm Rick Mummey. I watched a promo on MTV today for their VMA Awards, the virtual VMA Awards, and you're supposed to call in and vote on these people. I don't know about 80% of the people they named. They might as well have been speaking Klingon, but I'll tell you what, I can still recognize talent and potential in a young musician, and that's our guest today, Daisy Abercorn. Plenty of talent and potential and a bright future ahead. We'll talk to her about her music and a whole lot more. So hang around, and thanks so much for being here. Hello, Daisy.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. I had just mentioned that you're a singer and a songwriter and just a top-notch performer and a licensed plumber and a great dancer. I hope I got all those things right.
Very close, yeah.
Maybe not the plumbing. I don't know. So I think the first time I ever saw you perform was actually online from somewhere in town in Lafayette.
Okay.
Online, and then I've been to some live things, and of course there are a lot less of those gigs right now, given the crazy go nuts time that we're in. But tell us a little bit about do you remember what first got you interested in music?
Oh, absolutely. I was 7 years old in my bedroom listening to Lucky by Britney Spears. I had my own CD player, and she was my first. I think I heard one of her songs on the radio, and I was like, Mom, I need this person in my life. I don't know who she is, but I need her CD. So I got her first CD, and I heard this song Lucky, and it was just like a very performative type of song, and I was like, that is what I want to do in my life. And so since I was 7 years old, I've been parading around my bedroom singing songs and dancing.
So Britney Spears brought you into it?
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. For me, it was Louis Armstrong.
Oh, wow.
I saw him on the talk show, and I thought, wow, people love that guy. Now, my dad was a drummer, and so he was already going out and playing gigs and stuff like that. And
yeah.
He had an interesting distinction. I don't know if you probably don't have this with gigs, because you're not out there just sort of like contracting with other groups, like a drummer would do. But he would say some nights he was going out to play, and other nights he was going out to work. Like,
yeah.
He was in the region, so if he was going to go play polkas for 2 hours, that was work.
Right. Right.
Going someplace to play jazz, well, then he was happy. He was happy about that. But yourself, you got into music at 7 years old. Do you remember the first time you performed for people?
Yeah. So I had like a really weird relationship with music growing up. I was like 7 when I first heard Britney Spears, and then my parents kind of went through a really religious phase, and I wasn't actually allowed to listen to secular music. So I like got a taste of it, and then it was like, oh no, now you can only listen to Christian music. And so I didn't get a taste of music, like real music again, until I was 14. And then I heard, I was allowed to listen to country radio, and I heard Taylor Swift on the radio. And again, it just sparked this like, I can do that. Like, wow. It was teardrops on my guitar. It was like about a high school relationship that she had or whatever. And I was like, I'm in high school. I relate to that. I do this all the time. And so that was kind of when I picked up a guitar and started playing around. And I think it might have been 16 the first time that I played or sang on stage in front of people. I don't think I played guitar the first time. I think I just sang in front of people at like my dad's company Christmas show or something like that.
Wow. So it must have been really refreshing when you've got to listen to whatever kind of music you wanted to hear. Must have seemed like a world out there.
It's a whole new world of music. Like, I'm still learning. I am mind blown constantly. I think actually, it kind of was a blessing in disguise, because what happened is I was unashamedly like, oh, this is original, this is original, this is original. I didn't know that like some of the stuff that I had been singing about had really been done before, because I'd never heard it. So like, as I'm getting older, I feel like, oh man, that's really cool. I might have gotten really discouraged younger if I'd heard other people's versions of what I was wanting to put out. It might have like intimidated me or made me think that I wasn't good enough. So it kind of was like this blessing in disguise. As I get older, I'll hear someone else's song and I'm like, oh, I wrote a song like that when I was 17 years old or whatever. Like I wrote a message similar to that when I was 17. But if I'd known that back then, I don't know if I would have like had the blissful ignorance disguised as confidence to go out into the world and do what I wanted to do, you know?
And you hadn't been given any impression that there were some things you should like and some things you shouldn't like. That it
Right.
wasn't cool to enjoy some band and it was only cool to enjoy this guy over here and that woman there.
Right. Right. I just kind of get to, and it's still, even now, like I hear things and I'm like mind blown. I'm like, oh my God, that's beautiful. And people are like, how have you never heard this before? I'm like, I don't know, but I need it. Like,
Ah.
so.
So, well, ignorance is not only bliss, but it's sort of freedom as well, eh?
Yeah, a
So,
little bit.
and so you do a lot of solo activity. You also have a band. And how much is the band doing right now? Are you able to get your band together?
No, the band is not performing right now, and we're going through some transitions. But we are still working on recording our next album. So we dropped our EP in February, and then I already knew what the next like lineup was going to be. I already had the next album kind of planned out. So slowly we've been we like went through the process of canceling shows and everything like that. And now we are working on tracking some scratch tracks. And then actually, I think we're going down to or up to Sweetwater next week to do a tour of their studios and just kind of see what it would be like to maybe record our next album at Sweetwater. So we're starting to check out some studios and really put our toes in the water for the next album.
For folks who don't know about Sweetwater, Sweetwater is a wonderful music spot in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is generally a place where you only hear of people having to go to Fort Wayne, like not choosing, except for to go to Sweetwater. And they also,
Right.
they make a lot of their own product there, and they have an amazing plant up there in Fort Wayne, and they bring artists in and they have recording studios, and it's just an amazing, amazing spot. And
Yes, I'm excited.
you tell people about it and they go, "This is in Indiana, you're saying?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Indiana. You don't. We didn't happen upon it because we were out hunting. You go there on purpose. Do you plan ahead? Are you a planner that way? You said you kind of know when your next album is going to be done, and did you know the concept of things or what kind of songs you wanted to have on it to begin with?
No, I'm probably the opposite of a planner, actually.
Right.
I think so. The EP has got 5 songs on it, and 4 of those songs I wrote when I was like 17, and then one of them I wrote in my early 20s. And I wrote a lot of other songs during that time, but the 5 that went on the EP were the first 5 songs that I truly felt like were telling my story, were like helping heal me, and they were just the ones that I continued to play solo in my bedroom to myself. They're the ones that I first started playing at open mic. And even though I was writing other songs at the time, those were the first 5 that I truly felt like resonated with me as a human. And those were the ones that I wanted to put out first. So those songs are really, really old, and I don't even feel like they're a very good reflection of where I am now as an artist. And then the songs that are going on the next album, those are kind of the songs I started writing as I started my musicianship journey, as I really started delving out into the world and trying to book my own shows. I wrote a song called The Edge, I think a month or 2 before I quit my job to pursue music full time. And that song is kind of the catalyst for the next album. There's a lot of other songs written after that, but that song, The Edge, that's what the album's going to be called, is The Edge. It was just such a turning point in my life, and all the other songs kind of fall in line, and it's all about the first year or 2 into my musicianship and really making changes in my life. So that's what The Edge has kind of been focused on, and it's got, right now we have about 13 tracks on it, But I also just wrote one of those songs 2 months ago. So it's kind of spread out over time, you know.
And your songs tend to be, maybe not exclusively, but tend to be personal, about
Yeah.
personal feelings, about the inner journey kind of thing, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep.
As
They're
opposed to blanket
usually
statements about the world outside of yourself.
right, right. They're very much. I've always considered writing as a way for me to kind of release and heal through emotion. I've always kept journals or quote books or diaries, and I have always enjoyed the physical act of pen to paper.
Oh.
I like, even there was like a time in high school where like I noticed my penmanship was not pretty, and I like practiced for like weeks on end trying to like make it look prettier and prettier, because I just truly cherish that physical act. Something about being able to connect the pen to the paper feels like I'm getting my emotions out, I'm sorting through them, I'm processing them, and I truly feel like music is a way for me to like express myself. So I grew up in a situation where it was kind of looked down upon to be expressive and be crazy emotional. And so music was just the way that I could let it all out. And I still just really resonate with this idea of like connecting the emotions to the voice, to the music, tying it all in together and telling a story and putting that out into the world. And I think on the other side of it too, it is very personal for me, but I think it resonates really personally with other people. And I so desire that connection with other humans, to have a personal connection. And music has just been a really good way for me to find that connection with people.
And that's the trick in getting your music out there, I would guess, is that you know best your own experience, and you know best your own feelings, and you're getting those out, but to communicate them to somebody else in a way that makes them go, oh yeah, that's been me too.
Mm-hmm.
I heard
Mm-hmm.
one of your songs, and one of the lyrics was about being none of your damn business.
Yes.
That's yours, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's a good one. I would have to listen to that a bunch more times, but the first time I heard it, I thought, oh, great. That's just an awesome thing to say to somebody in a song. Whatever she's talking about, that's a great thing to say.
It's really interesting because that song I wrote, so I already have the songs picked out for the next album, and that song specifically is like a much newer song, and it's kind of indicative of a style that I'm like going through a style change and going through a different music journey right now. And that was the first song that I wrote. It's called None of Your Business. That was the first song I wrote that I was like, oh, we're going somewhere different, are we? Like, where is this going to take me? So yeah, that's really interesting that you picked that one out, because it's newer, it's different, it's got a different tone, a different voice. I feel with that song and a few others that I've written that I've really kind of stepped into this newer, more confident, more even like sensual and emotional persona as a performer, and I'm loving it so much.
Well, it's growth. It's personal growth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And without it, your music would remain the same, and it wouldn't stay interesting even to you.
Right, right,
If it wasn't
right.
attached to growth. And over time, have you accumulated other artists that have been influences on you, do you think?
I think that I connect more with songs than I do specific artists. There are definitely a lot of artists that I follow or like I keep up to date with. I still listen to Taylor Swift to this day. Like, I'm not gonna lie, her new album Folklore is on point.
Right.
And it's not like I've like loved everything she's put out. I just like to keep. She inspired me. I want to know what she's doing. Same with Britney Spears. I still follow what she's doing. Even though I don't really resonate with her style anymore, I just think it's cool to see where they were and where they've gone. There is a lot of, I think, younger female artists that are coming out in the pop world right now that I'm super fond of. I think just because a lot of their story resonates with mine, obviously, like I feel connected to that. But then, you know, a lot of older music. So I would say like anywhere from like the 60s to 80s, like as I learn more about the older music, I'm just finding myself more in love with some of these older styles. I I know that I love Fleetwood Mac. Like that's one specific band. And I kind of went through a phase with them. I picked my favorite Stevie Nicks songs and I kind of like moved on to other people and other things. I've been on a Melissa Etheridge kick lately. That's been one that I've been fond of. And just like, it tends to be strong female voices that I resonate with and that I kind of find myself flocking towards.
Well, bands and artists that one likes, it's kind of like with friends. Like you can have somebody come up to you and go, "Are you a friend of so-and-so?" And you say, "Yes." And they'll say, "Well, here's what I don't like about them." And you go, "Yeah, I understand all that, but none of that bothers me. So it's,
Right.
it's cool with me." So
Right.
so if somebody has something that bothers them about Taylor Swift, it's like, okay, well, that about her doesn't bother me. That's fine.
Yeah, and she's the bomb anyway, so.
Very good. What's you're working on? You're doing tracks for an album. What about gig wise? What's coming up for you?
So I actually canceled the shows that we had for this year. We had already lost about half of our shows, and then we had, like I said, we kind of went through some changes. We had a couple members quit the band, so it just kind of left us in a position where I was like, well, I can either focus all of my attention on recording, or I can, try and struggle and make this work and find other musicians. And we have the capacity with who's left to focus more on the recording. That's kind of where I want my focus to be. And my vision, if you will, is to pop back up when music starts being a thing, when people are going back out to shows, when that's a thing, pop back up with a brand new album, a brand new attitude, a brand new desire and drive for live music, and just be better than ever. So
right. So
that's where I'm at.
So you have your hand on the rudder, regardless of what happens to you and what happens to the world around you. You've got your hand on the rudder and you're making plans. And
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what you want to do.
I'll adjust as needed. So
a lot of people don't have that kind of flexibility. And they want to do the same thing forever and a day and wonder why people are bored of them.
Right. Right. Well, I think you have to be willing to change. I mean, like you said, that's kind of like your style changes with personal growth. And I think that like that's indicative as well as of personal growth. If you're changing, the only way you can grow is if you've changed. You know what I'm saying? Like you can change and not grow, but you can't grow without change. Like,
right. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Bingo. Absolutely. Well, you've got some great plans, and we plan on partaking of whatever it is you put out, whenever it is you put it out, because it's always very quality stuff and very good. And we're really happy that we've heard you, and glad that although I'm not there now, glad to be in the town where there's a scene that has people like you coming out of it.
thank
Just
you.
top-notch stuff.
Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. So people should just keep an eye out on the usual places where they can pick up your music.
Yes. So we've got a Facebook page. We have an Instagram. I have been trying to keep some content flowing through there via YouTube. So like I said, I am working on this YouTube project. One thing that I've never done is I've never recorded all of my songs. So I have 60 plus original songs that I've written over the last, 10 to 12 years. But I've never recorded all of them. And I'll be honest, for some reason recording is it's one of those things I don't enjoy it as much. I much prefer the live performance. Right. So this has kind of been like a journey and a challenge to myself to push me outside of my comfort zone, to get my music recorded and down, and at least have some documentation of the stuff that I have created, even if it's not something the band does, even if it's not something I ever play on stage, and to kind of start learning my way around any type of recording / video software, because I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just blindly running into it going, I can do this, and figuring it out as I go. So that's kind of the content I'm putting out on the pages right now. And then, we've got Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on all the major platforms. We've got our EPs out on Bandcamp, and then we have physical copies of the CD that we can also send out to people. So
Fantastic. Well, we're going to be looking for it, and we really appreciate your taking some time with us. Thank you so much. Daisy
No problem.
Abercorn, y'all.